President Thomas.
Here.
Alder Bussey.
Here.
Alder Wood.
Here.
Alder Spate.
Here.
Alder O'Connor.
Here.
Alder Holmquist.
Here.
Mayor Miller is excused.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone who wishes to appear on an item?
Minutes.
Oops. Sorry. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes.
Move approval. Second.
Additions or corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Appearances, is there anyone who wishes to appear on an item not on, for which they are not on the agenda? Not, I'll declare the appearance section closed. We'll move to item F, consent agenda.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
There's no discussion.
Oh, I didn't hear a second, but
Yes.
Yes, second.
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to take this a little out of order because we have some people who need to leave. So without objection, I will move item 2A, consideration of 2015-2016 beer garden permit application for Badger Inc., Village Lanes, 208 Monona Road, Wisconsin, Owen Road, Monona, Wisconsin. Agent Kevin J. Carey from the license review. This is started for immediate action.
I'll move to take this item out of order.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Mr. Did you? The first registrant to speak is Kevin Carey, 208 Owen Road from Village Lanes. Would like to register in favor and speak for informational purposes.
Yeah, just basically we're trying to do one Saturday for the next 2 months. We tried 3 months. I got a little late start for July. But we want to extend the beer garden that our food and patio about 40 feet out with a temporary fence from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to about 8 o'clock at night. It's in order to have a beanbag tournament, which to have as many teams, I kind of have to double the space. So I'm asking for approval of that. Didn't know if anybody had any questions at all.
Okay. And the clerk has received notification there are 3 people who have registered against the patio permit, one being Linda Jo, Mart B, 101 Frost Woods, Melissa Milsna, 101 Frost Woods, and Kathy Bell, and 101 Frost Woods Road, and one registrant in favor, Sylvia Roeder, 101 Frost Woods has registered in favor. Council questions, comments? Alderman Wood?
Kevin, these events, as I understand it, will start at 1 o'clock on the Saturdays. When do you expect they would actually be completed by?
I would say 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at the worst. We had our first tournament this weekend with just 2 games, and it took us about 5 hours. So I'm thinking with 4 games, we had about half the people. It'd probably take us about 5 hours, 5.5 hours, somewhere around there.
Okay, and right now you do have a patio permit,
Correct.
and you conduct the beanbag tournaments or games at that location already?
Correct. On Thursday nights, we've been doing it for 11 weeks.
Okay.
And like I said, we just had a tournament there last Saturday, too.
And that can stay open until 9?
Correct.
So this would actually would you expect would be over before 9?
Oh, it definitely will be over before 9.
Okay.
Additional.
Have there been any complaints from anyone about the tournaments you've had up to now?
Besides the 3 things, and there was 2 things at the liquor review, nobody's called me, nobody's complained. Without saying it this way, the average age is about 48, so we're not too wild, but I mean, it's a fun time. We've been doing it, like I say, for Thursday nights, 11 weeks, at 6 o'clock and 7:30. We usually get done about 8:15.
Additional questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Without objection, we will take item 2B, consideration of resolution 15-7-239, authorizing the issuance and sale of $1,500,000 taxable general obligation promissory note series 2015B, and this is starred for immediate action. Is there a,
Move to suspend the rules and take this item out of order.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Just,
Move approval.
Second.
sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Just before Jeff speaks, just to recap what this is. This is $1.5 million we're borrowing for a developer's agreement with Tresta. Tresta's is near its completion, so we need the money on hand to fulfill that agreement we have with them. This is a taxable note, so it's, to comply with the IRS rules. But other than that, I'll give it to Jeff.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. We have gone out, got our issue and our existing debt rated. Congratulations once again. We are an incredibly wonderful AA+. That is, and I brag about it because there aren't that many of them in the country, and certainly you people have earned it. That allows us to compete very favorably at the highest level anytime we enter the municipal marketplace. As Mark said, this rate's going to look a little higher to you because it's, according to the IRS regulations, it's taxable. We are benefiting a for-profit, and therefore it's called private purpose. No harm, no foul. It's done more and more all the time because, of course, communities are very concerned about keeping their development and improving their tax base, and these are some of the tools that you have as a municipal government to do so. I have handed out a comparable sheet. There's a AA. It's tough to find AA's, but I found a AA plus taxable, Babylon, New York, and you can see that they've had serial maturities. They're also, as I said, the AA plus stable with Standard & Poor's. We've kind of got a little bit better rate. That's due to a number of things. As I said, to finance, I think it's due to Wisconsin credit versus a New York credit. I would rather have Wisconsin credits in my portfolio. I think the rest of us here would too, even though they're rated comparably. And we did get a bit of a change in the market to our benefit since the New York issue was sold. So we had a 2.10% for our 5-year maturity. Still pretty good. That I can remember not too long ago that on a tax exempt for the first year or the second year, you'd be happy with a 2.1. So all that being said, we're paying, the buyers are paying not only the $1.5 million we're borrowing, but they're paying a premium of $14,685 on top of it. That all boils down to, once everything is paid out, rating fees, bond attorneys, etc., we have a 3.027%. So just over 3.02% total all-inclusive cost for our monies to comply with our developer's agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yes.
Do you have any additional copies of that sheet?
Here,
I don't have any.
To tell you, this item was approved at finance tonight.
Mary, I apologize. I thought I left one on your place.
That's okay.
Questions?
I'll just ask a quick question. What was our expectation for the interest rate when we were planning for this project?
It's a great one. In fact, I just looked back in my sourcing app, and I was looking at a 225 when I ran it. So, as you know, I like to be a little conservative if we're talking about something. I think we were pretty close to the market there, and as I said, Treasury market's improved a little bit since we did the planning stages, but we're a little bit under that, which is always great.
Further questions, comments? Roll call vote.
Yes.
Alder Holmquist,
Aye.
Council President Thomas,
Aye.
Alder Bussey,
Aye.
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder Spate,
Aye.
Alder O'Connor,
Aye.
Motion passes. We will go back to the regular agenda and go to unfinished business. 1A, consideration of resolution 15-6-2034, appointing an interim municipal judge. We have two candidates who have registered to speak. And the first one is Michael Finley. So if you would come up to the table and introduce yourself to the council and the community.
Thank you for this chance to speak again. I guess I just want to make sure everyone had all the documents I supplied. I did send around initially a letter, I think it was included in the packet, or your agenda packet today, which was a letter I did to the city attorney originally expressing interest. I followed that up with letters to each of the council members. You should have that. That's got a small or short resume on it. There were also, my understanding, I forwarded on a letter from Judge Stephen Elke, sitting Dane County Circuit Court judge. And it was my understanding that Judge Markson also sent a letter on through the clerk's office. So make sure you had all those documents. And I think those things set forth my interest here today. Obviously, I am interested in this position. I have recently retired after 30-plus years working as a prosecutor in the, mostly in the Dane County District Attorney's Office here in Madison and in Dane County, and living, as I indicated, in Monona for the last 23 years. In the District Attorney's Office, we handle criminal cases, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, the regular, everything from robberies to homicides, but it's also civil cases, and we handle all the cases for the municipal, I should say, different divisions of the government that don't have municipal courts, like the State Patrol, Dane County Sheriff's Office, a number of the smaller communities that don't have their own municipal courts, as well as the UW Police, Capitol Police, things like that. And in those cases, we handle these same kind of cases that we're talking about the municipal court judge doing. And those are civil cases where the judge sits as the finder of fact. There's no jury trial. The judge is the person that makes the decisions. And in doing so, in prosecuting those cases, I've, I guess, done literally thousands of negotiations and thousands of those kind of cases. I've appeared in front of over 50 different judges over the years and learned from them. I think with the experience from the District Attorney's Office, I bring in experience in handling those type of cases, or any of these type of cases, with the legal background, aware of the applicable statutes and burdens of proof and evidentiary information that's necessary, as well as having firsthand knowledge of some of the tools, the intoxilizers, the speed and radar detectors, and having experience talking with officers and presenting evidence throughout the years with those, so I'm familiar with those already. Living in the community, I'm aware of obviously the community's physical layout as well as its layout of people. I know there was some discussion as to whether or not living in the community is important. I think it is, because it, as indicated, there isn't a jury trial where you have a jury of your peers. You have a jury, or you have a fact finder as the judge. And it's important that the judge be a member of the community. That's why it's an elected position, that the judge is aware of the values and the feelings of the community. I think as far as temperament, I hope that it's set forward somewhat in the letters. I think Judge Markson's letter, I guess I'm proud of. I had a chance to read that letter. It was a great letter. He's the judge that I've spent the last several years, been my primary judge. And he's the kind of judge that I would, if appointed to this position or later elected, I would like to be. I've seen a lot of judges, and as I indicated in one of the letters, frankly, some of them get a big head and are kind of imperious and rule with an iron hand, that kind of thing. I think a better way to handle it is to be a judge that is more respectful, more willing to give people their day in court. I think all judges do that, but I think it's important to listen to people and listen to what they say and respect them. With a lot of citizens, this is their only brush with the court system, and in fact, sometimes with local government at all. And I think all citizens deserve to be respected, and I would hope to bring that to the position. I think I've found over the years that I've been able to do that. I sat in with Judge Tinker, or watched Judge Tinker working here, and it was remarkably like a lot of the negotiations we did for thousands and thousands of cases in civil court in Dane County. And you sit down, you listen to what people have to say, and you tell them what your options are, tell them how the point system works, tell them how the bond structure works, what you can do for them. And usually some of the negotiations that's done by the city attorney is allowed to the judge with the city attorney's permission to say, this is what our standard thing you can do. If you want to take care of it today, this is how we can handle it. If not, you can come back for trial. At that point, the city attorney would present evidence, and the judge would sit and weigh the evidence, but be the fact finder and be the ultimate determiner of the evidence. One of the cases I had years ago in front of Judge Dan Moser in Dane County Circuit Court, he was sitting in just such a case. It was a civil case. And the litigant came forward and presented his evidence. We presented our evidence. And Judge Moser said to him that he listened to all the evidence and believed that the subject's testimony was inconsistent with the truth. And I thought that was one of the most elegant ways I've ever heard anybody calling somebody a liar. But I think it kind of expresses that notion that you have to give people respect, you have to give them their chance, give them their day in court, listen to them, and respect them. And even if you don't agree with what they say, do it in a nice way, and then do it in a respectful way, and I think that's the best way to present yourself as a judge. Again, I think I've got the experience. I think I have local knowledge, and I think I have the temperament to fill in this position, and I hope you agree. Thank you.
Does
questions?
anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
We have another candidate, Parker Waller, 462720 Waka.
Good evening, thank you. I appreciate being invited to speak. My name is Parker Waller. I do live in Toniawatha. I am not a lawyer. I feel like I do have about every other qualification you might need, and I have to confess, I came at this moment out of a sense of service. I heard from my neighbor, Judge Tinker, that he was moving. I saw his sign up. He said, we're leaving soon. He told me the reasons. I said, oh no, I hope there's someone who wants to do that. And I talked to him for years about that'd be a great job someday. I didn't know it was happening this quickly. Therefore, I'm really happy to see that a lot of people want to do it, because I think that reflects well in the community. But at the same time, I thought, gosh, someone better do something, so here I am. Why do I think I'd be good at this? Well, I'm a family doctor. I've got an MBA. I've been in the military. I did this in the military, essentially with my captain. I was a legal officer on our ship. I have not done thousands of cases, but frontline, first meet with the legal system. I've done that. I've done the elements of, charges and evidence and Article 32 hearings, and discharge people from the military, and some things that weren't so much fun. But since then, I've been in family practice, both in Monona and then downtown Madison. And to put it lightly, I spend all day seeing people who may not want to be there, who are probably going to have to spend some money, and talk about important personal things that may affect their lives in a big way in 10 minutes. So that's why I thought this would be a familiar role for me to be. I've watched Judge Tinker as well. I think we all have. I like the way he does things. That's essentially what I do in family medicine most of the time. Most people aren't bleeding. They don't need something major. If we do need a specialist, we find one, just like we would refer to another court. So I don't mean to make fun of that. It's literally what I do on a daily basis. So in that way, I'm used to making quick decisions. I have to do a pretty good assessment. I need to hear the case, the evidence, the story, their history, family background, whatever. I'm also mostly involved in substance issues, people skirting the law, people with socioeconomic problems. So the clientele that present in municipal court do seem awfully familiar. I'm not saying I'm an expert in their lives, but I am saying I am familiar with what a conviction, what a guilty plea, what no contest might do to their lives, and how often people can't even afford $7 to come see a doctor, much less $300 or $92 for a municipal charge. So I have that sensitivity. Documentation, we all probably have those qualifications. And again, it's just a desire to serve. So the personal side is I've retired from medicine, so my wife can she's already chosen her essentially dream job. So I'm sitting over there during the day and night looking to get busy and use this energy that I am not using at the moment. I'll take your questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Right.
I want to thank both of you for your interest, your willingness, and for coming and presenting yourself. We truly appreciate your willingness to serve. We know that it's can be challenging, but a great experience. So, so there are no questions. Thank you. So the way to proceed is for someone to make a motion to approve the resolution and insert a name in there. And the city attorney has told me that he would like us to take action tonight, because if not, we will have to take whatever judge the chief judge hands us to do our legal work. So, Alderman Bussey.
I think the city of Monona is extremely lucky to have the number of respondents and the qualified respondents that we've had. And I appreciate the two applicants that have come out tonight. What I would, based upon the, I know that Mr. Casper also, there was an email where he withdrew and recommended Mr. Finley for the position. And based upon that and the judge's letters of recommendation that we received, I would like to make a motion for approval of Resolution 15-6-2034 and insert Michael Finley.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you both.
I'm not sure procedurally what I do next.
I have a couple of oaths of office for you.
Yeah.
We don't do it here, do we?
Get a black robe.
Give us your business.
Mr. Finley, if you'd like to just take this. Sure. Two oaths of office and a statement of economic interest. Those
Okay.
need to be.
Do you need these tonight?
No,
Okay.
but as soon as you can
Sure.
get them, that'd be great.
Where do I take this back?
City Hall.
City Hall.
The economic interest gets mailed to the address.
This thing here, I didn't see.
And there is, and then I would assume that the
Somehow I
clerk,
must have blanked.
the municipal clerk, that you'd want to touch base with her,
The clerk reports.
our clerk reports.
And I,
This packet.
one of us can introduce you to her
Drawn
Okay.
order.
when you come in.
They come in.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we'll now go back down to new business. Item 2C, consideration of resolution 15-7-2042, approving the City of Monona Sustainability Plan.
I think all of you can appreciate how big of a night this is to be presenting the sustainability plan to you. It's been 2 years in the making. If you recall, back in February of 2014, Council passed a resolution adopting the objectives and vision for sustainability for the City of Monona. This plan builds on those visions, the vision and objectives set forth in that kind of what people refer to as the Phase 1 plan. This new version of the plan, and I'm hesitant to call it Phase 2, you'll see that somewhere out there, but eventually we'll take that language off. This is the sustainability plan that includes the objectives and the vision. And then there's been a lot of work on developing strategies to implement that vision and objectives. And then also a number of targets that have been set, along with some benchmarking that's been done. I know that there was a lot of question about if we're going to write this plan, what does it mean? How do we know if we're being successful or not? And this plan sets measurable targets that we can report back to you on an annual basis. And then there will also be an annual implementation plan that will be developed. So each year we're going to start working on that before the budget's adopted to come up with a plan for things that we'll work on for next year. And then if there's any budget implications, that would be able to be adopted with your budgeting process. And then in January of each year, we'll report back on the targets and whether or not we've achieved our goals. The document is online. There have been a few changes that were made since it was put out. I think it went out on Thursday. We met with Sustainability Committee Thursday evening. The changes are minor. It's things like headings. There was one objective, WC3, that had a minor change to it. The newest version is currently online, and there may be a few tweaks to it, but it's really not going to be to the substance of the document, but primarily to headings, font size, things like that. With that, do you guys have any questions?
Alderman O'Connor.
I just want to say, I don't have any questions, but the Sustainability Committee has put in a lot of time on this, and I think it's a good, workable roadmap for us, the city, to follow in coming years. So I'd just like to thank everyone who put in so much time. Susan Vogt is here today. She did. Marie Weston from Madison Environmental Group worked with us on this too, and I think I'm really pleased with how it came out.
Alderman Spade.
Yeah, I also wanted to compliment everyone. I read through this over the last day, and it's very thorough and impressive. There were a couple of things that I don't know if you discussed in the process, but I just wanted to contribute if those on the committee would find it helpful. In the particular part of the plan where you deal with energy assessment, and you're looking at therms of natural gas being used, I think it would be instructive to incorporate the heating degree days that that are used as a metric for assessing efficiency, because how much natural gas you use in a heating season very much reflects how cold a winter we have. And so that is a statistic that MG&E can readily provide for our community, and it turns those numbers immediately into quantifiable efficiency numbers and not, oh gee, we must have had a cold winter. I'm also curious to know if something similar couldn't be done for water. I don't know if there's a standard for water, because when it's a dry summer, as you implied in the report, you're going to use more water. But we do know how much rainfall we received, and so if we just used a tool to provide that metric, that would also help guide us to know if we've achieved some efficiencies. At least allows us to compare years with similar rainfall. The last thing, I want to confess that I was of no help to this committee in the construction waste process, and I want to apologize to you for that, because I was asked to participate on numerous occasions, and I just didn't get it done for the committee or the community. But I do want to encourage us to look at adopting a construction waste ordinance similar to that of the city of Madison. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. And it's not that hard to, at the permitting process, it's simple enough for the contractor or homeowner to use a waste hauler that is going to have that construction waste recycled and repurposed. It's already a service that most of the waste haulers provide. The city of Monona simply needs to mandate that someone do it. There is a vast market for it, and at the moment it adds some cost because the county's program has seen major budget cuts through the state budget, and so those costs are being passed on now to companies and to consumers. But just my company, I mean, it's just policy. We always use the recycling dumpster no matter what municipality we work in, because it's what we believe we should be doing. There's no reason the city of Monona couldn't adopt a similar requirement. So those are my comments, and again, well done.
Additional questions, comments? Alderman Bussey?
Just I wasn't sure where some of your percentage of, decrease in water or, some of those percentages came from, but I'm assuming there was a lot of thought. But at least there are some goals. There were a couple of spots, and I know it's hard, but where we didn't have a baseline, and then the target by 2025 was to have an increase, but that's not really a measurable goal. You have to have a starting point. So as you implement this, I encourage you to create a baseline and then reset those target goals, because to say that there's no baseline and we just want to do better, we should define what better is. So I'd encourage the group, and I want to thank the group for this is a big task, so thank you.
Additional questions, comments?
So I'll be back in August for second read, and in the meantime, I'm hoping it's appropriate if you just think of something, a quick change, just let me know, we can tweak it, and I'll share that with the group. But I think we're good.
Alderman Holmquist?
Because there won't be another sustainability meeting prior to this, if there are changes that are less, I would encourage us not to delay to bring it back to the committee. If there are pieces of information, like I saw there were still some question marks in those, that we either put an NA or come up with a different term and address the issues about the increase in those, that we just do that and not bring that back.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing Chad's comment about the therms, that absolutely would make sense and would be an easy graphic, I think, to put in there. The water piece, we did have that for the committee because we did want to look at the trends compared to the climate or the weather. One thing that was interesting as our data continued to be shown at a conference that I was at a couple weeks ago, and everybody was wondering why Monona's water use dropped significantly a couple of years ago. We looked at climate, we couldn't figure it out, and dare I say it was because of the rate increase.
Oh.
So that's the only thing that we could figure out.
Becton Dickinson, one of our largest clients.
Yeah,
That was
that's true.
fairly recent, wasn't it?
This was about 2 years ago. Our water use,
Is that right?
That's about right.
was it that same time?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. We thought we were clever and came up with a real answer.
But it's divided residential or business.
That's true.
Useful to drop in residential.
So it was residential, not commercial. Okay, I'm back to we were clever.
Yeah. We know you're clever and hardworking, because it's a great job. Staff and the committee, it's really a nice.
So just the one thing I would wrap up is I think the vision for this plan is to continue to make it a living document. So to your comment, Jim, as we learn more and as things make sense, we would like to include that and update it. I think our goal would be for the plan to be an online document so that it's kind of more interactive and can change. And we'd like to bring, there's an appendix at the back of the document of all the strategies. They're really examples of strategies that we could use to implement the plan, and we anticipate we'll learn things, money will come available or not come available. So all of that could change over time, but we would be looking at it every year as part of that annual reporting.
Just a comment, and it may or may not work out for you guys, and I think it's great to have it online, except not everybody goes online, but what we have done in the past is make copies available of stuff and put it in the library.
Well, that's a good idea.
So,
Okay. All right, thank you.
thank you. See you at the next meeting. We will move to item 2D, consideration of resolution 15-5, 2028, amending the capital budget for additional expenditures for Monona's low-power FM community radio station. This is start.
Move to suspend the rules and take this item out of order.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion for approval?
And
Move approval.
But
2040 is what it is.
The resolution number that's The resolution is a different number. We found that at, so the resolution would be 15/7/2040 versus the one that's on the agenda. So friendly amendment, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So I actually, this time, wanted to show just a couple pictures so that you could get an idea of the bracketing I was talking about earlier in the finance meeting, as well as the pole. So where we started was U.S. Cellular and having to go through their process. And through their process, we had to use Wave Communications as our vendor to do the installation process of this antenna system. So that was one of the recommendations. There are other vendors. I didn't look at those other vendors because they were approved vendor, local vendor through U.S. Cellular. And one thing I didn't mention in the finance meeting is our engineers on our committee also recommended Wave, so I did not question it. So through the process, they came out and made a proposal of how much it would cost to do what we had proposed on the piece of paper. Put a pole up on the top of our tower, put a couple antennas up there, face it north, and away we go. They came up, gave me a proposal for that amount, and in the process it had to go back to Edge Consulting Engineers through U.S. Cellular again, through their vendor, and they had to engineer the pole, how strong the pole had to be, how big it had to be, wind force, all those things. They also had to recommend the bracketing through those studies they did. In that process is where the cost went up, the $6,550 from the original $12,000 to $18,550, because these brackets, you can see they're about halfway up. These guys right here, I don't know if everybody can see those. Yep. So those were far more beefier than the original ones that they thought they were going to have to use. And there's 4 of those, and they go 10 feet down, and then they're right up on the top too. So not only were they bigger, pricier, you can also see there's a bunch of stuff at the top of that tower where those brackets are. They had to re-weld some things, it's my understanding, as well as move some things so that they could actually get the pole in there, which was some additional cost that they did not foresee until they came up and started doing their scouting again. When Edge Consulting went ahead and recommended the pole, well, it ended up being that, which is hard to see from a picture, but that pole is 564 pounds, and it's 3 inches wide, and you can see how thick that metal is. So it needed those braces, and it needed to be, obviously cost a little bit more at 34 feet. They only come in 21 feet, so we had to get, of course, a specially ordered thick 34 foot, which was some additional expenditures. So I just wanted to show you kind of where that came into play, and of course when we found out where we needed to go into the building, there was some small amounts there once we got a little further down the line. So that's where our additional money came into play.
Questions? If not, it's roll call, right?
No, it's only 6,000.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And when is the radio station going to be?
Well, we did a few test broadcasts today. We're about to turn the transmitter off, but we don't have it properly grounded yet. And we're trying to find the building ground before we turn it back on and start broadcasting. I emailed Phil Electric today, so hopefully that process will be a couple weeks. But August 21st is the first Monona Grove football game, so that is our target date to start telling everybody in the brother that that's when we're broadcasting.
Good luck. Okay, we'll move to item E, consideration of process to fill vacancy in the city administrator position and appointment of a selection committee. And this is start for immediate action.
I move that we suspend the rules and take this item on order.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're going to let you talk about the process before we
we need a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
First of all, I'd like to say that it's been a pleasure working in the city of Monona the last 8 years, and it's something that I didn't expect to be coming to you with a resignation. The opportunity knocked, and it was an opportunity that I don't think I would have in the future in this region. So I did take it, and will be moving to Fitchburg September 1. So thank you to all of you and to everyone in the community for making this job very enjoyable. So, in regards to the process to fill the vacancy, both the mayor and city attorney requested that I give you sort of a summary of how the process went when I went through it. Basically, there was a committee formed of 8 residents that were selected to sit on the committee, along with this body, obviously, during the interview process. Along with that selection of an 8-member resident committee, there was the process of selecting a search firm, specifically a search firm that had the expertise in public management. Public Administration Associates out of Oshkosh was selected at that point in time. I know the mayor did request that Leah Kimmel look at other firms that do similar type work in the region. I did give Leah one other name, and that was GovHR. It's a national search firm located out of Northbrook, Illinois. They're probably one of the best in the country, but the price probably reflects that also, too, into what they would charge. Finance and Personnel Committee requested that I get a third quote, so I'll be doing that for you and providing you with those 3 quotes for the next meeting so you can select the firm in which you'd like to proceed with. We'll also be providing the 8 names that the mayor has selected for the resident committee and bring to you for your approval at the next meeting. So, Finance Committee did approve this.
And I will tell you that before the mayor left for Ireland, he stopped over and said he was really important to him that we hire a firm to do the selection process. Felt very strongly about that. So, discussion or questions?
Is there a sense of timeline at this point? I mean, as far as how soon do we need to hire this firm, then what's a reasonable expectation? I mean, it seems like this will take months.
Generally, it's about a 8 to 10 week process once you have the selection firm on board. They would, the search firm on board. They would likely be contracted at your next meeting if you so choose. They would probably put about 4 weeks notice out there for applicants, and then another 4 to 6 weeks to go through the process. So you're probably looking at mid-October, November, late November for a start, depending on the notice that the selected candidate would have to give his current position, his or her current position.
Yeah, I have a question which didn't occur to me at finance, but when we give them, when we hire a selection firm, will they want to know what are we looking for? Will they want to know salary range?
They would get that information from you after you contract with them. They obviously have, all these firms have a lot of experience with communities our size throughout Wisconsin, throughout the Midwest, and they would provide you with the appropriate comps. They would provide you with the appropriate documentation in terms of job descriptions and things along those lines. We also have up-to-date job descriptions that we've worked on over the years, so we'll be able to provide those to the firm. But those firms will work, or whoever the selected firm is, will work closely with you in making sure you have all your ducks in a row before the position's advertised.
Questions?
I'm just wondering, in terms of these three firms, what kind of information will we be getting about them before we make the decision? Like, did you contact them all and say, we're going to be looking for a new city administrator? Could you send us, a proposal of what you can provide, or how does that work?
Yeah, they'll send you sort of a summary of the services they provide, along with the experience they have, I would guess, in metropolitan areas or in Wisconsin or whatever they supply in that information. I'm sure that they would give some sort of comps as to the experience they have, and then they would give a base cost, along with, most of them work off base cost plus expenses. And so they would provide that information.
I think one of the most important things we could get from them, if there are communities that they work for, we could get references.
Right, I was just going to ask that, if we'd have that information beforehand as well.
Yeah, I can make sure that's provided.
Additional questions? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Both motion carries. Reports of committees, commissions, boards, mayor, city administrator, city attorney, department managers. Alderperson O'Connor.
The only thing I would have to report is that Lindsay Wood Davis, who's heading up our radio station project, called me this afternoon and said, turn on your radio. And so I did listen to WVMO, and it sounded really, really good. And I'd say, over the coming weeks, if you're in your car or something in Monona, obviously, turn it on 98.7 and see if something comes up. They're going to be off and on and as they tweak things, but made a lot of progress. Otherwise, I have to report.
Alderperson Spade.
The Transit Commission will be meeting this week on Wednesday night, talking about our marketing plan, meeting with the marketing company that's been helping us. So anyone who's interested in learning about that is welcome to attend. 6:30 at City Hall.
Alderperson Wood.
Library board meets tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in this building. That's all I have.
Alderperson Holmquist.
Public safety meets Wednesday this week, and I think we've moved the time to 6 or 6:30. I remember it's 6. And then the Senior Commission recently met and discussed a dementia-friendly community resolution for us to consider at a future meeting. Look forward to that.
Alderperson Bussey.
A week from tonight at 7 o'clock, the Plan Commission will be meeting here.
City Clerk.
No report.
Well, do you have anything else you want to tell us? City Administrator?
Yeah, just one thing. The CDA will be meeting next Tuesday evening. At that point, they'll be provided with an update on the developer that has shown interest in the development on the river at Bridge and Broadway. And we'll provide the CDA with an update as to where they're at with their conceptual plan. Conceptual, not only meaning of the site plan, but also project costs.
Appointments. There's one appointment, Sarah Whalen, to the Senior Citizens Commission.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?